So Saturday we are going to be back on YouTooSpain talking live to the Groovy Scats again, so we're going to have a live show. I'll put the link below in this video, and if you've got any questions about the subject matter that we're going to talk about, then please drop them here or drop them directly on the YouTooSpain video, and we'll get the questions answered for you. But what I wanted to do, and what I'm going to start doing, I've now done over 50 lives on YouTooSpain channel, and it's been a really good couple of years that we've been on there. I've had a lot of fun as well, but I'm going to start doing some videos on our channel as well, just to let you know what's going on, so you can tune if you want to ask questions. Now on Saturday we're going to be talking about moving to Spain in the summer. Now obviously this is, you might think this is quite an obvious subject, but we just want to cover what are the pitfalls of moving into Spain in the summer and what you could basically come up against. So I actually made a list of 5 different points here which came into my head, but certainly if there's any more, or anybody, the good thing about this now is there's a lot of people who've actually got this experience. So if anybody has got the experience of moving over in summer and there's anything that I haven't mentioned on this video, please put it in a comment below, and we will add it to the content list of things we're going to talk about, because it's not only us as specialists and people who are working with people who have the experience, because, well, the honest truth is I spend 90% of my time now in this office. I don't go on appointments very much anymore. We have people who, Tom, who does that here in Malaga, Victoria, who does it up in Alicante for us. We have various people scattered around Spain. I don't get personally the on the ground experience and get to chat to the clients. So if you have got any experiences about moving to summer that I don't mention, please put the comments below in the video, and we can bring this up to warn people. Evidently as well, if you're looking at moving this summer, this video might be a little bit late for you, but this may help people who are coming over in 2024, 25. We're now engaged with people we've been speaking to for 2 years who have now finally made the plunge, and they're coming over towards the end of the year maybe. So anyway, let's crack on with our points. So first of all, point 1 I have here: admin services and holidays. Okay then, so as we know, in summer things can happen a little bit more slowly. Alright, so the first thing, for people who are moving from the UK, say with a non-lucrative visa, the first thing you have to realise is a few things that you're going to need to get, which you depend on as administrative services, like an ACRO criminal records check. At the moment they're taking a long time anyway, because their website got hacked and you have to manually apply for it, and generally in summer we see that the documents take a lot longer to come back. You have to get duplicate marriage certificates in some circumstances. Maybe if you've got a financial position that you have to prove, that you have to go to whoever it is and get a document to prove that. They may take a bit longer. So what you always have to do in summer when you're doing any sort of documentation is you allow yourself a bit of extra time to get that documentation. Don't think it's going to come through. At the moment the acros for us are taking about 3 weeks for clients, so imagine in summer that may be even slower. Obviously there's time sensitive documents as well. Remember that your medical, when you're doing, and this is a non-lucrative visa application, medical certificate, duplicate marriage certificate, and your ACRO certificate, if you need one of those documents, then it's only got a 90-day validity, which means it has to be less than 90 days old at your appointment in the consulate. One other thing to mention on that front is remember that people go on holiday as well. So not only is it public administration and people that we depend on certain certificates from, generally during the year we have a company that we work with who does our translations in the UK. We also have a company who helps us, so Gloria, brilliant translator, my clients who watch this channel will know, have dealt with her, she's amazing. We also work with Apostilles UK, who do our apostilles in the UK. Generally they have quite a big team, so there's not that much of a delay with them, but people go on holiday in summer. August is a terrible month. You may scramble to get your documents in, then you need to get a rush translation and find out that people are on holiday, and quite rightly so, people are allowed holidays, so you have to take all of that into account. Now what we normally say is, if you can avoid appointments, so moving on to appointments in the UK, so the consulates if you're getting an NLB, then if you can avoid an appointment between on the last week of July, the whole of August and the first week of September, that 6-week period, then it's a good idea. We found that last year that was it was a tough time to get an appointment, and B, a lot of the applications which were submitted then took a lot longer because the consulates are dealing with the student applications. We're yet to see this year. Both Edinburgh and London have now changed the offices in which they deal with the NLV, so maybe that's going to be an improvement, but we don't know yet. The office for London has just changed this week, Edinburgh changed last week, so let's see. Okay, but it's all things to bear in mind when moving in summer. You have to take that into account. I've actually skipped straight to point 2 then, which point 2 was, why do people move in summer, and why do they want consulate appointments in summer? Well, a lot of it, we're reverting back to the non-lucrative visa, but this is even the case for people who are EU citizens. Remember that your tax liability in Spain, we're going to talk tax now, but we're not tax advisors, remember that, but we're going to talk the general overview. Your tax liability in Spain, if you come here to be a resident, is going to be the same, i.e. the amount of days you spend, and when you become tax liable in Spain, if you're an EU citizen or a third country national. The difference being, obviously, third country national, you need permission to reside in Spain before you come here. Unless you're an EU family member, then you can get that permission whilst in Spain. But what I'm getting at is what I call the capital gains rush. Again, there's an article below this video which was written for us by Jeremy Ferguson, who's a very highly qualified IFA who works with us here at Upsticks, and has written an article explaining why you should be careful of capital gains. And a lot of people have sold properties this year and are waiting for the second half of the year to come into Spain so they don't become fiscal residents, and the liability for that capital gains after selling the property isn't on them in Spain, because if they come at the second half of the year, don't spend 183 days here, they become a fiscal resident next year, so they won't be liable for the capital gains. Again, there's an article if you want to know more about that below. So that's point 2. Why are people coming in summer? Well, a lot of it is tax related, believe it or not. So point 3 that I was going to make was about when you actually get here. Now, between point 3 and 4, there's a little bit of a crossover, but who cares? When you get to Spain, the appointments are the same as in the UK. The last week of July up to the first week of September, generally less appointments. What you have to remember as well is a lot of professionals in June start turning their office hours either only till 3 o'clock or only till 2 o'clock, because after that it gets too hot. Alright, so you'll find that some offices adopt a siesta routine. We'll have a large break in the middle because it gets too warm, come back in the evening. Most offices, to be honest with you, by the end of June are doing it 9 till 2. Why do they do this? Well, a lot of offices, public administration is 9 till 2 all year. Private offices generally will do a more amplified timetable in the winter. But in the summer, generally, people, because the kids have such a long time off here in Spain, it's almost 3 months, then you have to put your kids into these things called summer camps, campamentos de verano. Okay, but the summer camps never run past 2 o'clock. So what you'll quite find is like people like lawyers, gestores, anybody who runs us now, actually no, we stay open, that's the honest truth. But anybody who runs like a sort of an office-based situation, because A, it's too hot after 2 o'clock, and B, they have children to look after maybe. So there's a couple of the reasons why a lot of the offices actually close at 2 o'clock in summer. So if you're planning on going and seeing somebody at 5 o'clock, when it cools down, you might have a nasty surprise and see that it's closed. The police stations, in theory, the extranjerias, the foreigners offices, really shouldn't take any time off. But we do see, again, a reduction in the appointments because people have their holidays. You'll find that in August there's an awful lot of ferias as well, so a lot of fairs, a lot of town fairs happen in August, and people generally take that time off as well. Here, for example, in our Inglaterra, we've got the industrial estate next to us, and that literally closes down for the last 2 weeks of August because everybody's going to the fair. Even the restaurants close because most of the workers who go and eat their menu of the day aren't around. So yeah, that was point 3. Point 4, as you can see, look, my nose. Come on. Can't even write my own notes. Point 4, I think we were on. Point 4 was travel and accommodation. Wow. Now, apart from travel can be more expensive in summer, obviously if you're traveling with pets, cars and dogs and stuff, if you're driving, for example, you have to make sure you're well prepared. But the other thing is accommodation. So your travel is going to be more expensive. That's true in summer. But accommodation, if you haven't got accommodation in Spain, don't think that you're going to get a 2-week B&B and then go straight into a long-term rental. Rentals are extremely rare, hard to come by and expensive in Spain. I had this chat with somebody the other day. They were coming from very far away. They were coming from the United States. They hadn't quite got their visa, but they were waiting for the approval. They said, look, I've just booked somewhere for 2 weeks. I'm going to turn up and then I'm going to get some long-term accommodation. And this is in the last week of June, and it was on the Costa del Sol. I can tell you now that it's so difficult to do that. And if you do it, it's going to be expensive. I had a report back from a client the other day who said that he'd actually found, and we're in May at the moment, coming up to June, found long-term accommodation, but they're asking for a year up front. Now, I don't even know if that's legal. We need to ask an estate agent if that's legal or not. I had a report back from somebody who said they're asking for 6 months up front, but what we suspect is because what they don't want people to be doing is moving into accommodation, taking advantage of that with a discount you would get for a long-term let over the summer, and then just dumping it and going and finding something cheaper. So I would need to ask if it was legal or not to charge 6 months up front. I'm absolutely 100% sure it's not, to be honest, but who knows? That's the kind of things we're hearing. It's extremely difficult to get long-term rental accommodation anywhere in Spain, and even more so in the summer. And the last point is the weather. It's more uncomfortable. Now, it's the craziest thing. You might think, well, what's he talking about? Yeah, of course it's warm in summer. It is warm in summer, but you don't realise what effect that has on you. I can tell you now from working, we were in this office. Here in this office, we've now been restricted to putting the air conditioning at 27 degrees in the summer due to a government initiative to not use less energy. And I can tell you now, it's awful. It's awful. You're less concentrated. You know, it's horrible. And you think 27 degrees, well, that's so nice, but when you're in an office environment, you do need it slightly cooler than that. Hence why a lot of the offices go home after 2 o'clock. But yeah, when you're generally moving and you're doing paperwork and you are moving your boxes and you're moving in, it's a lot more difficult in summer. It's great just to be kicking about the beach, diving in the pool when it's warm weather, maybe having a lovely wander in the evenings down the promenade, that's great, or in the mountains, that's lovely. But if you have to get stuff done, I can tell you it's doubly hard in the summer. It's a nightmare. So bear that in mind. You know, maybe for people who have got maybe mobility problems and stuff like that as well, the summer could be extremely difficult to move about if you've got a lot of things to do. If you depend on public transport, remember public transport in summer is going to be a lot busier as well. So look, we're not trying to put people off coming in summer, but certainly be aware that it may not be as smooth and it's an awful lot busier than in the winter, autumn and spring months. So there we go. Tune in please to Skatz's channel, YouTooSpain, the link is below. On Saturday, 10 o'clock Spanish time, 9 o'clock UK, we're going to be talking about all things summer, and hopefully if you've got any other tips, hints, or let us know anything about the summer, please write the comments below, or just tune in on Saturday and we can try and answer any questions you've got or mention your comments. Thanks for watching.